Hello, everyone. Let's see. Hello, everyone. Going to give people some time to go live with us. As you come in, please put your name in the comments so that I know that you're here, so that I know I am not talking to myself today. We will get started in about 4 minutes. Again, I just want to give people time to log on and get yourself situated. Again, as you log on, please put your names in the comment box. What's up, Garen, aka Orange Thunder, in the house? We will get started in just a few minutes. I will not hold everyone for a very long time. Just going to say what I have to say and get out of your way today. Again, as you come in, please be sure to put your name in the comment box. Stop in, say hi, what's up? Whatever you prefer to greet people with will be fine. And we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. I am very new to this Facebook Live. From a laptop, at least. I'm used to doing it on my phone, but not me talking. I'm used to recording other people. But I'll give this my best shot today. Do we have anyone else online with us? Hello, Miss Bree, Miss Jakia. Thank you kindly. Thank you, Miss Bree. Comments seem to pick up faster on my phone than my laptop, so if you see me looking at my phone, that is why. Promise you I am not texting anyone. Kevin Heath, how are you, sir? We'll get started very soon. Alrighty, it is 3:35, and so we'll go ahead and get started. For those of you that don't know, I am Mr. Jimmerson. I'm the site coordinator of the A/Boys and Girls Club program at Commerce Middle School. Glad to be before you today. Just want to say some things to kind of help our young people in this generation. Good to see you too, Kevin. I haven't heard from you in a while. Good to see that you're doing great. I just want to say some things today that's going to help really men of all ages. We're living in a time where there's not enough mentorship going on. And so I just want to kind of say some things today that will help gear young men or maybe even men who are older than me into the right way. Whoever sees this video, I believe that we can all benefit from it. And so today we're going to discuss chivalry. Many people would say that chivalry is dying, chivalry is dead, but we want to change that. This is something that we don't want to die off. And so, is there anybody that can tell me what chivalry means in the comments? What does chivalry mean? Garen, you better be careful what you put in case your wife looks at these comments. You better have the right answer. So I'm going to give you a few more moments to put what chivalry means to you in the comments. And then we will go from there. Just a few more moments. And as you comment, I will read out your answers. And also, please take out this time to text somebody, call someone, tell them that the Boys and Girls Club is live on Facebook right now. If you know any young man who could benefit from mentorship, which I've learned that the greatest room in anybody's life is always the room for improvement. So maybe you know someone who could benefit from some mentorship. Not saying I know everything there is to know about life, but we can all help one another. Hello, Miss Kara. So chivalry is defined as using courtesy and thoughtfulness to demonstrate commitment, respect, compassion, and trust. What a lot of people need to understand is chivalry it's not something that you have to wait until you're an adult to practice. But one thing I want the young men to understand is chivalry that it's something that you can start at home. You know that chivalry is simply stepping up and being a real man. It's time for us. If we're going to say that we're men, then there ought to be some fruit behind our works. There ought to be something that people can look at in our lives and say, that's a real man. So many people want to carry the title of, oh, I'm a man, I'm this, I'm that, and the other. But it's more to being a man than just saying I'm a man, because what we're finding out, is something I heard someone say is, some people just grew tall. Some people grew tall, they got older, but they didn't become a man. They just they got taller than their parents, and now they're 35, and what they are is a little boy in a grown man's body. But if we're going to be men, then there's certain characteristics that we've got to have to qualify us as a man. And I know this is kind of geared towards the younger men of the generation, the maybe middle school and high school ages, but the fact of the matter is that this is something that you can start now. Chivalry is something that you can start in your own homes. We want so badly to grow up and have cars and money and big homes, like we see so many people on TV, and we think that's what makes us a man. That's what really makes us somebody. But the fact of the matter is, you can have a house fire and all that stuff is gone. And so, if you equate that to that is only what makes me a man, then if you fall on hard times like so many people are now with the pandemic that we're having, then your manhood is gone. Um, the fact of the matter is, you can grow up and have as much money you can get a hold of, uh, but being a man of respect, commitment, and someone who's trustworthy will take you further than money can ever take you. Uh, and I have nothing against money. We need money to live this life. But what I'm saying is, so many people feel like it's what money that what's is what makes them. Um, But if you don't have respect, if you don't have good character, if you don't have manners, then I don't care how much money you have, nobody's going to want to be around you. Y'all talk to me in these comments. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. You can have all the money in the world, but when people hear your name, if they, just kind of, yeah, he's rich and all, but he's horrible. I've been around him. I never want to be around him again. I would rather be a person of integrity, someone who people enjoy being around rather than having all the money in the world. I would much rather people remember the fact that, oh, hey, Mr. Jimmerson was respectful. He was kind. He showed me love in some of my darkest hours. That's what people are going to remember. People are not going to remember your net worth. People are going to remember how it is that you made them feel. So let us understand when we speak of chivalry, I'm not teaching young men how to be a player. I'm not teaching you how to have game because the fact of the matter is a real man is not going to try to be a player. A real man is not going to try to run game. You still doing stuff that a little boy does. A real man is going to do the exact opposite. And I'm not even breaking this lesson down simply on dating because, again, we have young people of all ages that are going to be viewing this video. And for those of you that are in school and school age, I'm most definitely not simply trying to teach you how to go on a date, so to speak. Because for one, you need to be focused on your schoolwork. Okay, there's Mr. Jimmerson ruining the fun. Number one, for young people that are working, that are in school and whatnot, I'm not trying to teach you to do anything that your parents would not allow for you to do either. I want to be sure to make that plain, but I believe if you would just follow the basic principles, it would really help you out and take you so far in life. Right now, I believe young people, yes, you ought to be focused on getting your education, get your heads in the books. But I want you to understand the importance of what being a real man is about, because most of the things that I tell you today can be applied all throughout your life. There used to be a time, and for you young men, I want you to make sure you have a pencil and paper. I forgot to put that in the comments, but um, have a pencil and paper because we are going to have some challenges or whatever you prefer to take notes of. But just to dig into this lesson, there used to be a time when men understood that the women in society ought to be highly respected. I don't care what color she is or what her nationality is. It matters not how old or young. Um, what's important is that we as men get back to treating women with the respect that they deserve. And again, I said it matters not their age. For you young people that are in school, we've got to get back to treating these women with respect. As you're walking down the hallways, there used to be a time that if a young lady would drop her books in the hallway, instead of laughing and pointing the finger at her, young men would not allow her to bend down and pick up her books, but a young man who's been taught right, who's been trained right, would pick up her books for her. But now we don't hardly see that. Now we have we have young men who will go and knock out the books out of her hands. That's just childish. At some point in our lives, we've got to understand we've got to grow up. I understand, me, I love to have fun, but there's certain things that you're just pushing the limits to. Now, young women can walk in school and they can fall in the hallway. You got a whole group of little boys, I should say, pointing the finger and laughing. But whatever happened to the time where a young man valued the women in society? Whatever happened to the time where we understood the importance of how valuable women really are in our society? Because let us not forget it was a woman that brought you into this world. And, we still have to use the golden rule and treat others how we would like to be treated. And so we got to understand it matters not what her occupation is or whether or not you feel that a lady is beautiful or not. we should always treat a woman with respect. I don't care if you feel like she's the worst looking person on the face of this earth. That does not give you a right to treat a woman with disrespect, because now you're not, to somebody, you're maybe the worst looking man on this earth, but you still want to be treated with respect. You still want somebody to treat you like you're a human being. And that's what we as men have got to get back to. And I get it. And I have to say this for good measure. A real man will respect everybody. You know, I get it. As men by nature, we can be egotistical. As men by nature, we can be prideful and have big heads and all that. But we got to come to the understanding that we are not better than anybody. I don't care if you see someone homeless begging for food or money. We've got to understand that that could be us. We've got to understand that all it takes is one tragedy in our life, and that could be me and you under the bridge. And time and chance happens to us all. But even the more, let's make sure that we get back to respecting everyone. And for you young men that are still living at home, let me say this: that ought to start with your own mother. Because you know, if it was not for your mother, you wouldn't be here today. She birthed you into this world. Or maybe you are someone, you may say, Mr. Jimmerson, I was adopted. I don't know my real parents. But the fact of the matter is, someone looked at you and saw something about you that they loved and that they could not live without. And so the case is, they went and handpicked you because they loved you at first sight. So for you young men that are at home, respect ought to start with your mother. But you know, if you can't learn how to live with your mother and respect your mother or your sister that's are in your dwelling place, then you can't even get to the basic steps of chivalry in the first place. You can't even get to the basic steps um, of knowing how to go on a date, so to speak. Because you got to understand, this is stuff that's got to start at home, and it cannot wait. It has to start now. And so let's move on. I want to compose a few challenges in this lesson. And so I told you to have your notes, whatever you would like to take notes on. Challenge number one, I want you to put into practice is start opening the door for women. You know, whether it be a car door or a door to a building, just begin opening the door and allowing ladies to go first. And you young men, you can put this in practice when you go to school. Now, I'm not saying you got to stand there and let all 165 girls go in front of you. But I feel like we as men ought to get back to a point where we open up doors for ladies. You know, whatever happened to a woman wouldn't have to open up her own car door. You know, Mr. Jimmerson, do you open up doors for your wife? Yes, I do. This was not something that I started whenever we first started courting and just stopped once I finally got the ring on a finger. No, but this stuff, you have to understand, chivalry is more than an act. Chivalry ought to be who you are. I feel like that ought to be in a quote somewhere. Chivalry is more than just an act. Chivalry ought to be who you are. You know, uh, whether it's a car door, or door in your to your house, or a door going to a grocery store or something. I want to put these challenges. Challenge number one is, I want you to put into practice opening up the door for ladies. Um, and maybe you're not going anywhere right now. I know we're in a pandemic, and I know times are very different right now. So it may be as simple as you see your mom going to work. Walk your mom to the car. You know, open up the car door for her. Let her know that you appreciate her. And as I said in the beginning, I'm not simply teaching young men how to date, because if you can't respect your mom and your sisters at the house, or your grandmother, um, then you're really setting your own self up for failure when it comes to the age of dating. Let me say it that way. I don't want anybody's parents come chasing me and saying, I told your kids to go on a date. So I want to make that clear. Challenge number two, after this quarantine is over, if you see a lady walking down the sidewalk, I still believe that a man should always position himself on the outside of the sidewalk. You see, young men, we were created to be the providers and the protectors. And so we have to put into practice that act of protecting now. We have to um, put into practice now the to really being the one who's going to protect his family. You have to put him to practice now to have that mindset that I don't want to see any hurt or harm come upon my family. And so, a real man, would be the one who's going to make sure that his family is safe, even if he has to risk his own life. A real man is going to be the one to make sure that no hurt or harm comes upon his family if he has it in his power to do so. That's just how a real man is going to live. And again, this is more than just putting it into practice, but let this become who you are. And so, my challenge to you on this week, and maybe it may not happen on this week, maybe it happens when quarantine is over, but even if it's your sister, a lot of you walk home with your sisters, and I know one of my students, I got on to him because he would go off and leave, and his sister would still be at the school, and they're supposed to be walking together. But no, even if it's your sister, put your sister on the inside of the sidewalk. If y'all are walking to the store or walking home, be that protector for your sister, uh, especially because if she has no one out there to trust in, she ought to be able to have trust and confidence in her own brother. And so, my challenge to you this week is to really step up and to be that provider. To be that protector. That's definitely a part of chivalry. Moving on, because I've already been on here for 21 minutes, and the preacher of me is coming out because I'm taking too long. Moving on, something that you need to know for the future is I still believe that the man should always be the one paying for the dates. Some of you ladies put amen in the comments and make me feel a little bit better. I still believe that the man should still be paying for the dates. Now I know, and let me say this: there may be some women that what I'm saying doesn't fit with them. And I am young men. What one thing I need you to understand: I'm in no way saying that a woman is weak. No, don't get it twisted. I'm in no way saying that women don't walk in power. But what I'm saying is, um, you two can build an empire together if you would simply take your rightful place as a man. I'm in no way saying that women um, are going to live and always be dependent upon the man, because that's not true either. Um, you got to understand there's plenty successful women in this world, and a woman with a made up mind is going to be successful with or without you. I'm just trying to help you get the understanding that even though she's capable of doing a lot of things on her own, and even though she's able to really handle her own, it ought to be in your heart. It ought to be in your mind to say, listen, I get and understand that you can do this all for yourself, but because of the love and the care that I have for you, I'm going to do this for you because that's my way of showing you that I care for you. That's my way of showing you. Um, Again, this is when some of you are of age, but this may be someone in the 20s or 30s watching this right now. This is their way of showing um, that, yeah, you're my queen. I'm going to make sure that your hands don't get dirty, so to speak. And so I still believe there's certain things that a man should always be doing. Now, let me throw this out there. For you ladies, this is for good measure. I'm not going to charge you for this. But if he can't pay for a date, then you might need to run. Because if he can't pay for a date, he sure can't pay for a light bill. Yeah, you can love him all you want. You're gonna be loving him in the dark and and heating up water to take a bath in because he can't take care of responsibility. Man, when you start off by doing these simple things, you're showing her that you can be that provider that she's going to need. You're showing her that you actually have what it takes uh, to be the man in the household. And for uh, Now, I do understand that, whenever you get married, it may be different. You all go maybe on dates and stuff and anniversaries and stuff like that. And, at that point, it's really nobody paying for the date because it's both of y'all money. If you don't believe me, you just wait and see when you're married. It ain't your money no more. But as you're in that courting process or that dating process, I still believe that a man should always be paying for the dates. Point number four that I want to make, and this is a point, men, that I don't get. I still do it from time to time. Um, but point number four, a part of chivalry is women still love flowers. I don't get it myself because we buy it and then it's gonna sit on the table for a few days and then you're gonna start seeing them things they sticking up. Then they're gonna go lower and lower and the flowers gonna die. And to me, I just paid for some flowers that are going to die. I don't get it, but it's not for me to get because if that's something that's going to make my wife happy, then that's what she deserves. And so it's not about understanding everything. It's simply about showing that love, showing that care, and showing that respect, whether you understand it or not. Point number five, men should still hold out a woman's jacket to help her put it on. It's not that she can't put it on herself, but again, it's a point of love and compassion that it shows to the lady. And again, a lot of you, this may be kind of beyond your spectrum at the moment, but write this stuff down. And so once that day finally comes, you may be nervous and trying to figure out what am I supposed to do. Uh, then it hit you. Oh, Mr. Jimmerson told me to write this stuff down. Let me go write it down. Email it to yourself so that you can have these for future references. Point number six I want to make is if it's raining, I still believe that a man ought to hold the umbrella for her to see that not a drop of water comes onto her. And definitely thank you, Miss Bree. She says sometimes it can be hard for a woman to accept those acts of kindness. So that's something for a man to keep in mind. It may take time for a woman to come around, especially if they are independent. And that's what you have to understand, young man. Because a lot of these young women, they have great dads. And one thing a great dad is going to make sure he does is show his daughter that, if ain't nobody got you, I got you. And so if some little hoodlum wants to run up to you and try to run game, you don't have to take that because a lot of these young women, their daddy has already showed them that they're his princess. And if they can't confide in you, they can always confide in the dad. And it may just simply be, even if they didn't have that father figure in their life, they grew up having to learn how to do all these things on their own. Um, and as I said earlier, a lot of this may not be for um, every type of woman. This some women may not, want you doing some of this stuff for them, and some may just not know how to respond to the niceness because of the simple fact that they've been done wrong so many times in their lives, and that's something you have to take into consideration. This is not something you can become frustrated with and think that overnight you're going to have the keys to success, a successful date, because it does not work that way. And so, yes, thank you, Miss Bree, for that comment. Come on, Pastor Jimmerson. I just saw that. I will pass on being a pastor. I am okay. But again, point six, I want to say if it's raining, if y'all down to one umbrella and it's not big enough, be the man. Don't let that poor woman get a mess up her hair that she done spent seem like 2 hours to do. Y'all learn that whenever you get married one day. Um, she spent all this time getting ready to be with you, and then it rains, and you got the umbrella over your head. Now, come on, what that look like? You know, I believe that part of chivalry is making sure that you're doing whatever needs to be done um, to make sure that she is taken care of. So, challenge number three I want to bring to the young men is this is something that you can start at home. Um, but I want to challenge the young men who are still living at home with their parents and maybe you're of relationship age. It's the way I'll put it. And I can put this challenge to you as well, but I want to challenge you for the young men that are at home, start pumping the gas for your mother's car. I grew up doing that. My mother never put a gas in her car, as far as I'm aware of. Um, I would go to the gas station with her, and I would pump the gas for her. That's just what I did, and that's still something I put in practice today. If my wife and I are at the gas station together, she's not getting out and pumping gas. I'm going to do that for her. And so, challenge number three, I wanted to challenge you, young men that are still living at home, to pump the gas for your mother's vehicle or your grandparents or whoever your guardian may be. Let point number eight, I want to make now. Again, there's only three challenges, and I'll put those in the comments before we end. But I want to make another point. Number eight, an act of chivalry is simply knowing that no means no. Nothing more, nothing less. Um, so many terrible things happen when people push the limits. Let me say it that way. So many people go beyond set boundaries, and then the end result is a lot of people end up hurt. Uh, People end up in jail and whatnot. And so, an act of chivalry is simply knowing that no means no. And that's something you got to put into practice now. No does not mean try harder. No does not mean um, it's opposite. And no really means yes. No. You got to understand that no uh, still means no. Because if you don't respect those boundaries, you can be creating a long, hard life for yourself. And again, it goes back to respect. Think about your own mother, your own sister, your own grandmother. Think about them. Consider them. If they were with someone and they told that person no, and that person just kept on and kept on and kept on, how would you feel for your own mother or your own sibling to endure a situation where somebody's just being disrespectful that way? So, again, point number eight is no just means no. Point number nine, and I'm sure I'll get some young men who don't agree with this. But point number nine, I'm going to say is it's still good. It's still good for a man not to touch a woman because unfortunately, so many guys nowadays are just going after one thing, and so many people end up hurt. And so again, it goes to respecting those boundaries. It goes um, back to uh, keeping yourself out of trouble and keeping other people from getting hurt. Especially you young men that are still in school. How many times have you gotten in trouble because uh, you didn't do what you were supposed to do correctly, and now you uh, end up with suspensions or kicked off of a bus or different things like that. And so it's good that we make sure that we continue to put into practice respecting those boundaries that are set, to respect um, those wishes of a woman. Point number 10, my final point that I wanted to make is once again just kind of closing off what I started in the beginning is to respect every woman. Again, it matters not if it's your mother, or your grandmother, or some random lady that you don't even know. Matters not if it's someone that you go to school with. Men have got to be back to respecting women. If the men of our country, if the men of our world would get back to being real men, what a great place this would be. And so I probably didn't cover every single thing there is for chivalry, but these basic principles, these basic lessons will go a long way. But remember, for you young people that are still at home, chivalry starts at home. It starts with you respecting your mother. It starts with you respecting your sister. So again, challenge number one, I want you to put into practice is to start opening the door for women, whether it be you're at home, walking your mother to to the car before she goes to work, whether it be opening the door for your mother when she comes in or your sister. I want you to put into practice opening the door for women. Challenge number two is that a man should always position himself on the outside of the sidewalk. So I'm going to, if this is something that you can do this week, I know we are in quarantine and different things, but when you and lady are walking down the sidewalk, the man should always position himself on the outside. Challenge number three, again, is that you should pump the gas for your lady. So, challenge number three this week, I want you to go with your mom to the gas station, uh, pump her gas for her. Or maybe it's your grandmother or your sister is at the driving age. You know, show that loving, that care for them. And when we come back next week, I'm going to ask you about these challenges and ask you if you did any of these. So hopefully, I said something that was beneficial to you all. Hopefully, I said something that will bring clarity to you, that will help you. Again, as I said at the beginning, I'm not teaching anyone how to be a player or anyone how to have game. Because, as I said, that's not what a real man is about. But if we would put these things into practice and start being the young man of respect, the young man of commitment, a young man of integrity, if we would even start that in our homes, then we can go a very long way in life. So again, hope I said something that you enjoyed. Um, write these challenges down. Um, and if you even can, take a picture of yourself completing one of these challenges and share it with us. Tag us. And that is all I have for you today. And so someone will be here tomorrow again at 3 o'clock. And so join in again then. Thank you.